I wanted to record a little podcast about what are the most difficult things so far learning Japanese. I've been in Japan for 20 months, and in these 20 months, I was able to pass the JLPT and 3. But the most difficult things in order would be conversation, right? Being able to be fluent. Second would be kanji, right? Those would be, I think, my top two most difficult things. As an American that grew up speaking Spanish, Japanese pronunciation is easier because the Spanish language shares a lot of the sounds. But for somebody that grew up speaking English, some sounds become more difficult. Kanji is one of those things that we grew up with the Roman letters, and there is no kanji in Spanish or English. So that will be one of the most difficult things to learn in Japanese, to learn to read the kanji, because it has different pronunciations, and not being able to read kanji limits the access to information, right? Like when I learned German, or when I was learning English, I always read newspapers, magazines, and doing that in Japanese is quite difficult, because if you don't understand kanji, you cannot read material that will help you improve your language skills. So for that, you have to look for books for children, but there are also books that are tailored to Japanese learners with a certain level of kanji knowledge. So those books are very helpful. And then the problem with conversation, right? So I have been here 20 months, but in those 20 months, I have not been fully immersed, right? Which is very different than the experience that I had with German. When I was learning German, I was living with Germans at university. I was speaking German and English, right? But mainly I would say I was speaking at least 10 hours, 8 hours a day. I was speaking German. Whereas here in Japan is not the case. So at work, you speak English, right? And that you spend 9 hours, 10 hours a day speaking English, writing emails in English. Then I arrive home, and my wife and I will speak English. So we continue speaking English. So the most challenging part is to find those opportunities to speak Japanese. So finding those opportunities to speak Japanese is something that takes effort. You either have to go to the pains of going to outside, right, and start speaking with people, but you need to find the right venues for that. And to do that, so there are different places. There are Japanese conversations that are led by Japanese volunteers that have been extremely helpful for me and my wife. And we do that a lot. So right now we're doing at least 6 hours a week of conversation with different groups, as well as taking Japanese classes where you obviously are able to practice Japanese. So, but it takes effort and it takes commitment finding these opportunities. And then obviously you need to start making friends, Japanese friends, and start sharing with them, right? It's something that is very important in terms of conversation. And for kanji, there is no other way than to learn every single day. So it's something that you also need to put effort into learning. So I think with Japanese, coming from a Latin speaking or Latin root language like Spanish and English, it takes a lot of effort. I think that would be the two main challenges that I have encountered so far. And I may expand a little more into how to go about finding those conversation opportunities, because there are many resources for that.
Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below, and stay curious, stay happy, and don't forget to practice your languages and subscribe.